Hello and welcome to today's BITRIX24 webinar, Perfect Project Management. Thank you very much for joining today. Okay, so first of all, today we'll just go through some introductions. So my name is Sam Connor. I'm sales manager here at Interface. And just to give you a bit of a background, first of all, to ourselves. So we are BITRIX24 Gold Partners, and we're based here in the UK, the USA, and Hong Kong. And we offer a full range of services to assist you with BITRIX24. So first of all, starting off with pre-sale support, so we can help you to analyze your requirements, see if BITRIX24 is a good fit for what you're trying to achieve. And if it is, we can then implement the BITRIX24 system for you. So we can set up your requirements into BITRIX24 and ensure the system works exactly how you need it to work. If you're interested in the self-hosted edition of BITRIX, we can provide our hosting services, and we also provide training and ongoing support to ensure you get the most possible value out of the BITRIX24 system. Okay, so just before we go into today's webinar in more detail, I just want to explain a bit more about what BITRIX24 actually is. So BITRIX24 is a collaboration suite of well in excess now of 35 different tools that you can use to help you to manage your business. And there are over 15 million customers now around the world that use the BITRIX24 system. And the system is available in two different editions. So we have the BITRIX24 Cloud, and we have the BITRIX24 self-hosted solution. And in terms of pricing, so prices start from $49 per month for a cloud-based system and $3,590 for a self-hosted edition. And that self-hosted edition in year 2 and ongoing annually, you'll pay a 25% renewal fee to continue to access their license. Okay, so today's webinar is Perfect Project Management. So we're going to be focusing on why you should use the BITRIX24 system for managing projects. So within BITRIX24, you've got project work groups. So in this area, you can manage the entire project from start to finish in its own closed area. So you've got a centralized area for managing every single project inside the BITRIX24 system. It has really powerful task management features, and we can also run automation. So later on in today's webinar, we'll see how we can use the project management automation features to automate the creation of a project and streamline that process. There's workload management tools, so you can really analyze your resources and see who is the most available for working on future projects. We'll then see the Gantt chart and reporting features. And a really nice feature is the external users feature. So you can actually invite in external users such as clients or vendors, and they can then collaborate with you on the BITRIX24 project. So let's have a look at some of those benefits in more detail. So let's first of all look at project groups. So project groups, this is where we can manage the actual project within BITRIX24, where we can manage the members, where we can track tasks and then collaborate through a project. So what we'll do first of all is let's actually look at how we can create a new project inside the BITRIX24 system. Okay, so let's just move over here into our BITRIX24 system. And what we can see here, this is our on-premise edition of BITRIX24, but there is also a cloud edition. As we go through today's webinar, I will outline if there's anything specifically associated with a specific tier of the BITRIX24 license. Okay. So first of all, if we want to create a new project, we want to go into our work groups area, because this is going to show you all of the projects that you are currently connected with on your BITRIX. So you've got a search tool, so you can easily drill down into any of these projects, and you've got a filtering tool as well. So you might filter based on, say, who the project owner is as an example. So you can customize that here. Okay, so that is a look at the current project that we are working on, but as I said, we want to create a brand new project on the system. So what we can do is we can click on the create button here, And what this is going to do is this is going to open up our project management area for how we want to create a new project, whether it's a project or a work group. And so I just want to talk you through the differences between the two. So with a project, you have a start date and you have an end date for the project. So you've got that specific time parameter on the project. Whereas with our workgroup feature, you don't need to have that time parameter. So you could just have, for example, a department within a work group. And what can happen then is you can manage all the tasks, you can collaborate together, but a department won't have a start and an end. So if you're wanting to have that time parameter, you should use the project feature. And then any tasks associated with that project, you're then going to be able to set those timelines so the tasks have to be completed by the end date of the project. So I can click into the project here, and then I can give this project a title, and then I could also add a description. Okay. And then what we can do is we can see inside here the additional parameters. Okay, so this is where we've got our features essentially. So we can add the project start date and the project end date. We could also add a subject for the project, which we can use for reporting purposes later on. And then we've also got here our different features. So these are the features that we can turn on and turn off. So as you're working on a project, you might come back into here and turn on additional functionality that you might want to enable on the project. So this is a really nice feature that you can enable on your system. So what I can do here is, let's say I want to enable tasks. I'm going to be managing tasks on the system. And we're also going to be using the drive area because I want to store documents associated with this project. So those are the features I want to turn on. Then later on, I can come back into this area and turn on and turn off different features. So it's really flexible to ensure you have got all of the functionality that you require on your project. And a feature down here called external users is a really nice feature. We mentioned earlier on in the webinar. So essentially what you can do here is you can allow access for external users. So if you wanted to invite your clients or vendors into the project, you could invite them in here by ticking that button. The only thing to mention there with that is when you do use that external users feature, that will be classed as a seat on your BITRIX24 system. So let's say if you're using BITRIX24 Professional Cloud Edition, it's 100 seats on the system. So let's say if you've got 50 internal staff, you will then have 50 external seats you could use. But when that seat is being used by a client, then it's being used on the system. But once they leave that project, then that seat becomes available again to be used. Then we've got our different privacy levels. So you can have a public private. So that means anyone in your BITRIX, they could access that project. There's no invitation required. We've then also got the private feature. So this is where you can essentially have your users in BITRIX request access to the project. And then we've got the hidden feature. So the hidden feature, this is essentially where we are going to remove access so no one can even see the project. It is accessed only by invitation only by the owners of the project who are inviting specific people into the project. And then we can invite those people into the project. So we've got different layers of ownership on a project. So you've got a project owner. We've then also got moderators. And then we can also add additional employees who are going to be working on the project as well. So the moderator layer, that's like the middle layer of management. So you'll see later on we can assign permissions and access rights to control what they're able to do in the project. So we can create that project in the system. And we can see now it's created the area where we can manage all of our tasks. And we've also got our drive area. So we can manage all of the documents associated with the project. So you've got the ability there to manage all of that information. And we can see in the sections here, we've got all of the team members who we have invited into the project. So that's how we can create a project in BITRIX. But I think what would be useful here is let's go into a project that is actually live right now, and one that we're working on our BITRIX24 system. So you can really see now all of the tasks here. This is a live project that is being worked on. So we can see all of the tasks. And what's really nice in the BITRIX24 system is you can really customize how tasks work in your project. There isn't one single view of tasks. So each user who's working on the project, they can really customize how the system works for their specific task management preferences. So this is the list view. So I can see the information about the tasks. I can customize the UI. I can change the settings here to configure actually what information I would like to display. And I've got a filtering tool here, so I can drill down into tasks. So maybe based on who's responsible. It's really easy to drill down into that information. And through here as well, you can click into those tasks. So you can see the entire task page here. I can tick off checklist items. And what's really nice here is I can record time on my tasks. So here I can record my time on the tasks. And you can see here we've got a communication flow. So rather than having to do external emails or external chats, all of the conversations associated with a task, you can manage directly inside the task page here. So let's add a new comment into here. And I'm just going to tag one of my colleagues on this specific task. So let's mention my colleague Mark. And now they will receive a notification about that comment inside the task. So really nice to be able to really centralize all of the communication flow on your tasks in the system. But that's just one view of tasks. There's lots of different ways, and a real benefit of using projects in BITRIX, there's lots of different ways you can manage and view your tasks in the system. So here you've got a Kanban view. So each project can have its own Kanban format where you can essentially manage the project flow of your tasks. So I can progress our tasks through the different stages of the Kanban. And the Kanban can be customized for every single project, which is a really valuable way of managing your projects. Then we've also got our deadline view. And I think this is my favorite view because essentially using this view, you instantly see what tasks need to be prioritized in your BITRIX24 system. So here I can see what's overdue, what's due today. And I can click into those tasks through the system here. So I think this view is just a really powerful way to prioritize what needs to be worked on across the project. You then also have a planner view. So this is, again, a really nice feature because the planner view is unique to the individual user on the BITRIX system. So each person in the project can set up their own planner view. So I can create my own stages here. And essentially, these are all the tasks I'm working on. So I can put these into a relevant placeholder here. And that's not going to impact any other person on the BITRIX24 system. So it's a really nice way to manage your tasks. You also have a calendar view, so you can manage your tasks based on the deadlines in a calendar format. And you've got a Gantt chart display as well. So in this view here, what we can see is essentially this is a high-level overview of your project. So I can see these based on the deadlines of the project here. So the tasks are inside here. The red lines indicate the deadlines. And again, you can, as I've seen here, you can go high level, low level. So you're starting to see how using these different views for projects and tasks, you can completely essentially manage your project management style inside BITRIX. Every user can use these different views for all of the different tasks that they are associated to. And in all of these different views, you've got the filtering tool. So it's very easy to drill down into information on the actual tasks themselves. Okay, so that's how we can manage tasks. And obviously you want to create new tasks. So you've got the create task page here. So I can add the task name, and then you can add a task description. And within the tasks as well, you can store documents. So all of the information you can store on the task. You can also create checklists. So if there are maybe different items that need to be completed, then you can manage all of that through the system here. So we can assign those items to participants. And what's quite nice as well with the task features here, you can assign this to a person, but then you can also add additional participants who are maybe going to be working on the tasks as well, and then also add observers. So these people who are going to be aware of the task, but what we can also then see, they can be notified when changes are made. Okay. So that's how we can create our tasks in the system. And it's very common that businesses have tasks that are repetitive. So that same task is going to be maybe repeated every month. So if you're an accountancy firm, you're going to have to do the monthly payroll, for example. So what you can do is you could also save these tasks as a template, and then you can select that template from the system here. And it's going to pull in all of the information, pull in all of the checklist items. So all of the information, it's already stored inside the system. Another feature you can enable is the ability to automatically recreate the task. So you can turn on this repeat task feature, and it's going to automatically repeat that task at a certain time parameter of your choosing. So you can set that time on as well. Okay, so that is a look at managing the tasks on a project. You've also got a feed section, which again is a really nice feature because essentially this is like an intranet board, a newsfeed board for that specific project. So we can see we've got some meetings that have been scheduled, that's been fed into the feed. We've got some communication logs, so we can see here a new meeting has been set up on a Friday. And so again, you can add comments onto here, and then we can post that information. So you can collaborate through all of the information that's on the feed. And as we saw earlier on in the webinar, where we're creating different features on the project, we can see some of that in this live project. So we can do instant chats with the rest of our project team. I can do video calling. I can do voice calls. So there's lots of different ways you can collaborate and keep communication flow with the rest of your project team. We've also got a drive area. So really nice feature this. So you can store documents, and that's connected to this project. So I can upload new documents into the system here. But again, with permission control, I might want to set access rights. So only specific people within that project maybe can access that document. So again, you can start to see how permissions within that project really allow you to control what information different people are able to access. Okay, so that is the project there. We've also got the calendar, so a nice area where we can store all of the events and meetings connected to the project. And then we also have a feature called lists. So lists are essentially areas where you can store tables of information. So if we click into, say, expenses here, we're going to see all of the expenses associated with the project. So you create fields to store the type of information you require. And then I can see all of that information in the list here. So what I could do, for example, is I might just want to look at all of the expenses that are currently pending approval. So I can see that information in the system here. And what I can do as well is we can run workflows on these processes. So for example, I might want to run an approval process. So I can send that expense to the manager to approve or reject inside the system. So that list feature, it's really nice to be able to store essentially tables of information. Okay, so that is a look there at a live project. And if we just come into the project area, we've talked quite heavily about permissions already. And we saw earlier on when I was creating that project, how we can set up those different layers of roles, such as the owner, moderators, and other participants. And what we can do in the project is we can assign different permissions based on those roles. So, for example, who is able to create new tasks in the project? We might say it's just the project owner, or maybe the owner and, let's say, moderators, for example, the assistants. So you can control, based on that user role, what different staff are able to do within the project. Okay, so that's how we can manage a project inside the system. I just briefly want to mention, though, how quite a new way of how you can manage projects as well. A feature we've enabled with a lot of our businesses and clients. It's using a feature in the CRM system called Smart Process Automation. Because what this allows you to do essentially is it allows you to create brand new entities inside the CRM system. So rather than just using leads and deals, what you could do, for example, is when a deal is won, we could automatically create a project holder inside this section here. So here we can see our project view. This is using SPAs. So we can see the different stages that we're progressing our projects through. And I can click into the project, and this has that CRM UI. So we can see all of the information about the project. I can see the tasks associated with the project as well. And if we click into the customer's record in the CRM, then what we can see here is I can see all of the sales opportunities connected to this contact, but I can also see all of the projects connected to this contact. So it rolls back up to that high level customer record view. So I can then see one project that's been completed, and I can see this new project that's currently in progress and what stage it's at. So you're getting that really nice high level overview using this feature here. So if you're interested in trying to incorporate projects into the CRM, then please do contact us, sales@intraface.com, and we can have a conversation with you and go into more detail about how we can use the features in the CRM to create that high level connection between projects and the CRM system for you. Okay, so that is a look at managing projects. And so no, I don't see any questions right now on YouTube. Please do add them into the question box if you have any questions. We did have a question earlier on, and it was to ask around the number of work groups or projects that you can create. So there is simply no limit, okay, to the number of projects that you can create inside the system. The only limitation you would find is if you are going to be creating lots of projects, storing lots of information, you just want to be aware about the storage capacity. So if you're on a cloud edition of BITRIX24, then just make sure that you're not overusing your storage capacity, because you would then need to upgrade to the next tier if you've used all of your storage capacity. So for example, on the professional cloud edition of BITRIX, you've got 1 terabyte of storage space that you can use. Okay, so moving on now to look at automations. So we've seen how we can create a project manually. So creating the features, creating the tasks, inviting people to the project. There's a lot of manual processes in that. What we can use is the power of the automation engine in BITRIX24 to streamline the creation of that project. So let's take a look now at how we can manage the automation process. So we'll go back into our feed section. Now, one thing to mention, to do this, you do need to have a professional cloud edition of BITRIX24. But what we've got inside here is a workflow tool. So we can click on the new project feature, and that will open up here a form that we can fill in. And this is then going to automatically create a project inside the workgroup area and inviting specific people. So we can see here, let's create our new project. So we're going to give the project a name. Then we've got some user roles of people that are going to be connected to the project. And then I need to add a project deadline. Okay, and then we're just going to add a description for the team. And then we can see here we've got a type. Okay, so we've got a selection to select from here. So this is really important because this type is a condition. And based on what we selected, this is then going to automate the creation of specific tasks that we are then going to create and assign into the project. So if you've got maybe lots of different types of projects, and within each type, there's lots of different features lots of different tasks that you are going to use and create, then this is a really nice feature, because based on what you select here, that can automatically create those tasks in the project for you. So I'm going to select this as a type A project, and let's now submit that workflow. Okay, so that's now come through, and as I've been assigned as the manager of the project, I just need to confirm the end dates of the project, and now let's approve that in the system. And so now if we go into our workflow area of our projects, so let's now search for the project. You can see now that has come up inside the system. So we can see here it's automatically created that project, and it's created the tasks associated for us to complete. So it's automatically created that task inside the system. And we've also got the team members who are going to be assigned to the project here. So we can see those invites have gone out. So you can imagine if you've got projects where there are maybe hundreds of tasks that need to be completed, by using a workflow, having BITRIX automatically set those up for you, that will save so much time for you and prevent human error essentially from taking place. So what I just want to show you is really the back end of that workflow. So if we come into our new project workflow tool here, this is the tool that was used to create that project. So this is using the workflow designer tool. So you can see here we inputted our information about the project. And then what we did is we selected the type of project. So we selected project A, which meant it created those specific tasks, the scoping task. If we selected project B, it was going to create a completely different tasks associated to that project. So, you could set up 10, 20, hundreds of tasks in here with different conditions, and BITRIX will then automate the creation of that project. And it does so using these variables here on the right-hand side. So you can use these to create your workflow. It uses drag and drop technology. So it's really nice to build out really advanced workflows using the BITRIX24 workflow designer tool. And that's something, if you're interested in this, we can have conversations with you and support you to use the workflow designer tool. Okay, so that's one look at automation using our workflow designer tool. Another area we can run automations, and again, you would need a professional cloud edition to do this. It's using the Kanban stages on projects. So, for example, based on the different stages that we have for our Kanban stages on the project that we've just looked at, we can create automation. So, for example, when we move this to the client review stage, we're going to automatically change who is responsible for the task, and we're notifying specific people as well. So you can start to see here how you could use these different types of automations to streamline the task management side of your processes as well. And you can also set up triggers. So let's say if a trigger is enabled, that means when that action takes place. So for example, when this task becomes overdue, so if the task has not been completed and it has passed its deadline, we're going to automatically move that task to the stage of approval. So it's going to go to an approval stage because we need to get more time to work on that task. So you can use a mixture of triggers and automations to really streamline your task management processes. And as I say, for both of those automation areas, you would need to have, excuse me, a professional cloud edition of BITRIX at least. And you can also, on any of the self-hosted editions of BITRIX, use those features. Okay, so moving on next, we'll take a look at the extranet. So another really useful and valuable area of BITRIX24. We see a lot of businesses using this feature. So what we can enable is the ability to invite our clients or our third parties into the BITRIX24 system. So this means you can invite your clients in, they can collaborate with you. So you can see on this extranet site here, we have got our project, so they can't see any other area of the BITRIX24 system. And we can then collaborate with them. So in this particular example here, they're able to work on the tasks with us, so we can collaborate with them, and you can control exactly what they're able to view and access. And on a self-hosted edition, we'll talk about the benefits shortly, you can also brand up the portal. So you can have your corporate branding on here. We've got, say, some banners on here to link them to external sites. So with the self-hosted edition, when they're logging into this portal to collaborate with you on their projects, you can really customize this so it is a completely branded solution for you. And as we looked at earlier on, a question that came in is around permissions for external users. You can control that permission structure. So as you saw, if we go back to the external site, they only have access to the projects that they've been invited into. And we can set permissions so that, for example, they can't access creating new tasks. We might just allow them to enter the tasks that we have made them a participant of. We can control what documents they're able to access. So you can set permissions to control what an external user is able to view and access. And that does bring us on really nicely to discuss the self-hosted benefits. So a big reason why businesses use a self-hosted edition of BITRIX is to have that branded functionality. So when you're inviting your external users into the system, you can have that portal branded with your own corporate branding, your own domain, and then inside the actual portal, we can customize the portal to a greater extent. So we can create more advanced automations using the PHP code block. We can also use the customization feature to customize pages and create additional pages and functionality. As you saw there, we've got external banners to link to other sites. And we can also build more advanced dashboard reports using the self-hosted system. And that does bring me on nicely just to mention about reporting. So in terms of reporting inside your project, you've got a supervising view. So for all of the team and staff that you manage, you've got this supervisor view. So you can see each staff's efficiency score. And this is calculated based on the tasks that they're working on, how many have been completed within the deadline, essentially. So if the user's efficiency score is low, it means they're not completing their tasks on time and essentially they're falling behind. And you can filter through this information. So, for example, I might just want to look at all of my staff where their efficiency score is less than 80%, for example. So you can easily drill down into the information inside the BITRIX24 system to analyze, go from a very high level to a low level to see really what team members need some support to get back on track. And you've also got a reporting tool here. This is the reporting wizard. So you can also build out your very own reports from scratch, essentially. So inside here, you can add your report title, you can add a description and choose the date range for what you're wanting to report on. And then you can select what pieces of information you would like to report on inside the system here. And then you can filter. So you might want to filter on specific variables or attributes. And you can then also select what type of display you would like to show for the report, whether it's just a table of information, or if you'd like to have a bar chart or a pie chart, you can display that information in a nice UI. So if we just come out of this report, we can see a report here that we have set up. So here we're analyzing the total task time across different staff on different projects. So we can see a pie chart display of that information. So there's lots of different ways essentially we can report on tasks and projects inside BITRIX24. And that brings us to an end for our Perfect Project Management webinar. Here you can see the selection of up and coming webinars. So we're here every other Tuesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 3 p.m. UTC. And you can register for our future webinars at interface.com/webinars. And we look forward to seeing you on those. If you do have any questions before the next webinar, you can contact us, sales@interface.com, and one of our team will be happy to help you. But thank you very much for your time today. I look forward to seeing you on our future webinars. Bye for now.